Hello viewers, welcome back to the Moose Mobile Auto Repair channel, and welcome back to part 2 of this 2016 Ford F-150. And earlier in part 1 I stated that there was a vibration and a rumble noise, and so today we are going to be replacing the rear drive shaft to remedy that issue. So before you start this job, you probably want to put some index marks, but it's not entirely necessary if you are replacing the drive shaft. But I'm just going to make a mark anyways, just in case. You can use like a marker or whiteout or something. So these are 12 millimeter 12-point bolts. So you just need to remove them now. They're on pretty tight. You may need to use a breaker bar if possible. These bolts are on extremely tight. And somewhere in the service manual or service information, it said to discard these bolts and replace them with brand new bolts. But I think I'm just going to be reusing them. You may need to put a little bit of a thread locker in here afterwards. I'm going to proceed to remove the remainder of the 3 bolts. I don't think I'm able to turn this drive shaft around. You got to make sure that it's in neutral and the parking brake is not on. I won't be able to show you all of the angles here, but the procedure is the same for all of these 4 bolts. Parking brake is off, and the vehicle is in neutral now. You just insert a pry bar and try to loosen it while applying pressure. Very hard to do this while you are on the floor. I'm going to put it back into park, e-brake on. You gotta be careful not to round out the bolts. It's on extremely tight, this one. Let me see if I can bring this down here. There you go. Holy smokes. These are on extremely tight. May have helped a tiny bit here because you can see I sprayed penetrating oil on the back and only caught on the two threads. It may have helped, I'm not sure, but so this is out now. I'm gonna have to slightly tap this out of place, and then we're gonna get it out of the transfer case. I have to. It's out now. So now it's out. Now it's just inside the transfer case. We just need to pull it out of the transfer case now. So now we're just going to pull this guy out of the transfer case. It should just come out just like that. You just gotta be careful though. Make sure this doesn't land on you. So it comes right out. Now you might want to have a drain pan ready because the transfer case fluid will drain out a tiny bit. So now on what you need to do now, just compare the new drive shaft to the old one. Make sure they're all the same. Everything is the same. Now on the new drive shaft, you don't have to add any grease. There's already grease inside here, so you don't need to add anything. And if you take note on the new drive shaft, you have to be extremely careful with this because it's balanced. It says a note here, scrap if dropped. So be extremely careful with this. So I was having a look at the U joints here. They're a little bit, there's a little bit of like binding up on the U joints. But I'm replacing this because I believe that the drive shaft is out of balance. There's an issue with the drive shaft itself. So I'm not just replacing it because of the U joints. Otherwise, I would just have done the U joints and that's it. There's a little bit of roughness here. So I'm able to feel that. You cannot feel that when this drive shaft is on the vehicle. Basically, you would have to remove the drive shaft in order to check the U joints, because checking it on the vehicle is not a 100%. So sometimes you really need to take it out to inspect the U joints. So now the installation is just the opposite of removing it. So you can see the splines in there. So I'm gonna reinstall it to the transfer case, and then and bolt this thing back up now. So I'm gonna crawl back in here. Get the drive shaft in. I'm gonna reinstall the drive shaft. So we're gonna install the drive shaft now. Get it inside the transfer case. Make sure it's all the way in. Then all you need to do is to line it up onto the differential now. I may have to put this back into neutral to get it to line up. So I'm not going to put any thread locker on this because these things are extremely tight. So I'm just going to put a little bit of NTCs on it. So the vehicle is in neutral now. I just need to line up the bolt holes. To get all the bolts in, make sure that the flange is flush onto the pinion here. We know if the guys at the dealership, if they replace these bolts. So I'm just going to reuse them. And the torque spec for these bolts for this particular drive shaft is 76 foot-pounds. And then don't forget that later on to top up the transfer case fluid if you leaked some transfer case fluid out. Just had the jack stand uh, just in case if the drive shaft falls, because this drive shaft is very sensitive. Just going to run the bolts in. So we are going to proceed to torque these bolts to 76 foot-pounds. So we're going to torque these guys to 76. Hopefully you guys are able to see that on camera. So I'm just gonna do this for each one because it's getting very difficult. So this one is done. So if you want, you can just leave a tiny mark here for the ones that are done. And now we're gonna go on to the next one. And the next one now. I marked it here. The camera was not focusing on here, so this one's done. The other one's done. So there's two more. Yeah, that's done. Now we're gonna do the last one now. You're all good to go now. Everything should be all right now. So we are just gonna go for a road test and confirm our repair. Make sure there's no more rumbling or vibration, and then that's it. Just make sure you top up the transfer case fluid. So I am on the bench here. So I have the end of the U joint in which it goes into the rear differential. You can see it's there's a little bit of roughness here. It's binding up. You see it stops here and it goes. So I can feel that it's binding up. There's a little bit of roughness here. You can also hear it as well. So this way is okay. Is not, there's no issue going this way. But this way there's an issue because you can feel the roughness there. So I know the U joints are bad on this side, but the other side on the transfer case, they seem to be okay. I suspected that the drive shaft was out of balance, so I just replaced the whole drive shaft, and that improved the vibration, but some of the vibration was still there. So when we look here at the transfer case side, it seems to be okay. I don't really feel an issue here. There's no issue. I think this side seems to be fine. But I forgot to mention that I did notice a slight vibration in the steering wheel and a little bit in the driver's seat. So I was also suspecting that there was something going on in the front as well. But I believe that that most of the vibration was also coming from the rear as well. It was difficult to diagnose this, but this is how I came to the conclusion, because there were more than one issue on this vehicle, so it was a little difficult to pinpoint and diagnose everything.